the Lincoln Park Planning Commission. Today is the 11th of August, 2021. It is 7:01 p.m. And if we can, Chuck will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
My pleasure. Pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to the flag of the United
States of America
and to the republic
for which
for
it
which it
stands,
stands, one
one
nation,
nation, under God,
under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for
for all.
all.
Okay, thank you. You can be seated if you're standing. We have the roll call of commissioners. Mike,
Joe Palmer is present. Kevin Kissel is present. Oh, I forgot to write down Chuck Persinger, the pledge. Gerald Grazak. Is he absent or excused?
I haven't heard anything new on him. Is there any update on him?
Was that Jerry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear Grazak?
I've called him, I've contacted, but I haven't heard back, so let's call him
Absent.
absent, excused at this moment.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Arturo is absent.
Yeah, I want to make a note on that. He was not excused at the last meeting.
And Mike Horvath is here. Charles Persinger is here. Is Russ
Yep.
LaDuca here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. LaDuca.
Yes.
Tracy Dupre, counsel.
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to read the list of people I have attending the meeting, and if anybody is not mentioned, then when I finish, please tell me your name. I have Liz Gundan, Thaddeus Zakuski, Larry Kelsey, Roger, I think it's Gonzalez, Sherry Soblo, T Banda, Maureen Tobin. Who haven't I said? Yogi Anand.
You didn't say John Myers.
None.
He's here.
Yeah, okay.
He's
What about
excused.
Liz?
He's
Liz was the first name.
He's either excused or an excuse.
Anybody else here that I should mention? I'm looking, I don't see any in there. I guess we have them.
Okay, we'll go on to the approval of the previous minutes. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes?
Mhm.
I saw them. I think they're beautiful. We should accept them just the way they are.
We had a motion to accept.
The only note I made was the onus was not excused.
Okay. Do
So
we have a-
noted.
Do we have a support?
I'll support.
I support.
Okay,
Have
and
Dupre supported?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure that's what I thought.
so all those in favor of passing them as corrected, because Joe told us about the correction.
Yes,
So we're doing approved as corrected, correct?
That's correct, yes.
that's correct.
So all those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. They're approved. We'll go on to the approval of the agenda. Anybody have any changes to the agenda?
I'd like to add one item under new business, a letter C, for the intent of a planning commissioner member removal.
Okay,
Don't I have to even guess who that is?
I'm sorry. Should I leave now? No.
No, it ain't you.
You ain't getting out of it that easy.
Darn it.
Tracy, you've made them all. You've made every one of
Yeah,
them.
you're all right.
I have.
This is
So
a
you guys-
Thank you for
complicated
doing so.
thing, but it's important for the buildings.
okay.
Yes, I enjoy it, actually. Okay.
So because we need a motion and a second to approve the agenda as amended.
I
I'll second it. Okay, let him do it.
All right, who did who moved?
That's what we're asking. We need we need a mover and a.
Oh, we need a motion. Okay. I'll make the motion.
I'll
Do we have a
second it.
motion? And Tracy seconds.
Yep.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, say
Aye.
nay. Motion has it. We added C to the agenda under new business. So we'll go on to old business. Site plan review for 881 Southfield Auto Sales. It's all you, Liz.
Thank you. And you all are seeing my screen, correct?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. So this one we saw in, I believe, May, and the commission tabled it as we needed more information, mostly from the engineer or for the engineer. Since that time, the applicant has met with the city engineer and has resolved the engineer's issues. So I'll go through the report and then can answer any questions. So the site is located the proposed use will be adding auto sales to an existing auto repair facility. It is the proposed auto sales will occupy the east side of the building, and then the auto repair part occupies the west side of the building. It's important to note that the automotive repair station does not meet the standards of the ordinance section 1294.14, which governs automotive service stations, repair centers, and public garages. So this review is treating the existing business as legal non-conforming. And it just is evaluating the proposed addition of the sales use. So it explicitly does not grant special land use approval for the auto repair use. So the site is located on Southfield Road to the north, with Wilson Avenue to the west. There is a 5-foot concrete sidewalk along Wilson Avenue. However, currently the sidewalk discontinues alongside the property at Southfield Road and then reappears again at the end of the property. The rear side is on a public alley, and there is a proposed outdoor auto display area in front of the building and proposed customer spaces on the east side of the building. Future land use classification is general commercial, and this proposed use is consistent with that. The zoning is municipal business district, and both auto sales and auto repair uses are permitted after special approval. Site plan documents are as listed here. And dimensional standards. The site does not meet the lot coverage standards, but otherwise it meets all the other standards. But even though it does not meet the lot coverage, it does not increase it. We're treating, again, this review as an existing, the auto service or auto repair use as a legal non-conforming, and it evaluates only the sales use. So again, just noting that distinction. For building design, it does not meet the building materials standards nor the transparency requirements. However, we typically use the standard of review that the current building may be preserved so long as the nonconformity is not increased. The proposal is not proposing any changes to the building facade, so the city has historically permitted existing facade conditions to remain. No significant natural features that are being preserved. And for the sidewalk, the site has a 5-foot concrete sidewalk along Wilson, and then an 8-foot asphalt boulevard with no curbs. You can see in the photo here what the existing conditions are. The applicant is proposing a 6-foot concrete sidewalk along Southfield Road that connects Wilson Ave to the sidewalk on Southfield on the other side. So this will provide safe pedestrian circulation. The existing conditions show cars parked on the proposed sidewalk area, and those will need to be removed. So the items to be addressed are bringing the existing and new concrete sidewalks up to city standards, providing details and cross sections at the time of detailed engineering review, and removing any cars from the sidewalk. For parking, the automotive repair use requires 8 spaces, and the service station requires 4, so 13. The proposed number of spaces is 6, so that the parking requirements are not met.
Excuse me,
The,
Liz.
yes,
Is there a way for you to mute all the phones as a host?
let's see. Yes.
Or if everybody can mute themselves, please. There's a lot of background noise. And we respect Liz, please.
Okay. I think we're
Thanks,
good
hon.
there. Thanks, Tracy. Okay, parking area B. All of the standards are met except for concrete curbs and gutters. They are, they're indicated on the sidewalks in the road, but no curb lines are shown between the sidewalk and display area. However, that is with the current configuration, that's not quite possible, so it's partially met. So for parking in general, the plan proposes 6 spaces for on the site and then 4 on-street parking spaces along Wilson Avenue and 1 space along Southfield. So both uses combined require 13 spaces, and the Planning Commission has the power to waive this requirement based on evidence of lower demand. The applicant comment is preferably with supporting data is requested regarding how the proposed parking configuration will serve new and old customers' parking needs. Hopefully the applicant will be able to provide that tonight. Then also a parking waiver is requested from the Planning Commission to reduce the number of required parking spaces from 13 to 6. Factors for consideration are size constraints of the site and availability of on-street parking. To bring the existing asphalt up to city standards and provide details at the time of detailed engineering review. For barrier-free access, the plan shows 1 space that's measured 9 feet in width. The ordinance requires 12 feet in width, so that just needs to be adjusted slightly. Loading space, the proposed loading area is in the alley, so nothing to be addressed here. For access, driveways, and vehicular circulation. Some of these standards not been met, but it is an existing site. So the driveways as proposed do not meet the standards for width, radius, or number, although again, because they're existing, and there's work proposed in the eastern Southfield driveway, which will bring that portion into compliance. Because this is a redevelopment of an existing site, the Planning Commission has authority to apply the standards to the maximum extent possible if it determines that compliance with all the standards of this section are unreasonable. So nothing to be addressed specifically here. For emergency vehicle access, they have access via Southfield or Wilson, and the police department has reviewed the plan and indicates no outstanding issues. No new streets are proposed for this site. For landscaping, screening, and open space, the proposal includes adding additional landscaping, and there is only a waiver requested for the 10-foot greenbelt width. The width on Southfield is 9.5 feet, so it almost meets it, and on Wilson it is 8 feet. And as well as the shrub landscaping requirements for the street interior landscaping. There's space for trees, but not enough space for the shrubs. The required number of street trees have been provided, as I mentioned, but the site size and existing site features prevent the provision of the 7 required shrubs as well. Soil erosion control is under the jurisdiction of Wayne County. For utilities, they have the standard items to be addressed here. The DPW department did confirm that the existing service is not lead type, so that does not need to be replaced. For stormwater management, that's also under the jurisdiction of Wayne County. Lighting, there is no new lighting proposed. There's some street lighting along the roads, but the existing lighting appears on the building appears to be shielded and downward facing, so nothing to be addressed. There's no indication of adverse noise impacts anticipated from the development, and there is no mechanical equipment visible from the right of way. Signs will be addressed at the time of the building permit review. Hazardous materials or waste. The proposed use is expected to generate some quantity of hazardous materials or waste. The site plan notes that the applicant will provide primary and secondary containers inside the building for storage of removed vehicle fluids. One of the conditions we usually require is that the applicant will provide documentation of compliance with state and federal standards for storage, use, handling, and disposal of hazardous materials. There are no site design standards for specific site design standards for auto sales, so nothing to be addressed here. And other agency reviews, work in the Southfield right-of-way requires a permit from the Wayne County Road Commission, and then any other appropriate agency reviews as needed. And there are no variances anticipated for the proposal. So for recommendations, the information on the plan and proposal is substantially in compliance with section 1296.01 site plan review. The most pressing item of consideration before the Planning Commission is the proposed parking arrangement and whether what is proposed will be sufficient. The applicant has gone through several iterations of this plan and has come up with what appears to be the best possible solution given the size and layout constraints of the existing site. However, even in the best possible case, less than half of the required parking spaces have been provided. We just are asking for applicant comment about the parking for the Planning Commission to grant such a substantial waiver. So the conditions and waivers are listed here. Waivers are for parking and landscaping, green belt, and shrub requirements. And then we have two conditions to be addressed before the letter planning approval is issued, and then our standard conditions of approval for site plan review. That is all I have. The applicant, Roger, is on the call, so either he or I would be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, are there any questions for Liz?
I have a couple of questions, or maybe just one.
Go ahead, Tracy.
It's kind of a roundabout, larger question about the parking. The employees, where will they be parking?
I believe that would be a better question for the applicant.
Okay, and that's part of my concern of the fewer parking spaces. So yes, if we could hear from the applicant, that'd be wonderful.
The
I
applicant
have a
out there?
question, Liz. Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
Okay. Is Roger there?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Joe.
I have a question for Liz before we talk to the applicant.
Is he here?
On that green belt, where they're proposing to put a sidewalk through the front there, where you showed that picture of that red car park where a green belt should be. Are they gonna put a green belt there, or no? It's gonna be a sidewalk with the asphalt there by the road.
The plan shows a green belt with a sidewalk.
After they put a sidewalk in, so they can't park where that red car was parked prior,
Correct.
and that's in our proposal, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Is the applicant here? Liz, have you got him muted or something?
I asked him to unmute.
How am I doing now?
Okay,
Can
there
you
you
hear
go.
me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Say who you
I don't have
are.
the plan. Here I am. I don't have the plans in front of me, but I believe that the parking spaces are designated the drawings for where the employees will be parking, and also the sales cars that will be displayed.
I'll pull it up.
Okay.
Tracy?
The on the street parking, is that for customers and maybe cars that are in the middle of being worked on? Or I guess as looking at it as a planning commissioner, but also as a consumer, let's just call me. If I were to go to an auto shop and they wanted to put my car on the street parking, I wouldn't be happy for that. And I'm just curious, whether these spots are going to be, what they're going to be used for. People visiting, or are they going to be used for vehicles that are actually being worked on or waiting?
The repair cars will be inside, it won't be on the street.
Okay,
I believe there's, if I can recall correctly, there's parking for 2 employees on the front of the building. If I'm not mistaken, Liz, am I correct on that?
I have the plan showing on the screen, and it looks like there are 4 display spaces in the front here. And then there are 6 spaces back here on the east side of the building. And there is 1 space along Southfield right here in front of this tree, and then 4 spaces along Wilson.
okay.
Right.
All right. So any cars that you're
Thank you.
working on, you'll keep them in the building or contained on that property, not on the side of the road, correct? That's my concern. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question for Mr. Myers.
Go ahead, Joe.
Mr. Myers, is there a city ordinance regarding the parking of vehicles that are being worked on the street after business hours?
They cannot have them on the street. If they're
After
being
what,
mechanically
15
worked
hours?
on, they're allowed to be on said property. And at the end of the day, they have to be off the exterior. They can't do any exterior storage after hours. So no, they're not, there would be a violation to park a mechanically repairing car on the side of Wilson or on Southfield until room was made for the bay.
My next question regarding that, is this a previous ownership being turned over to a new owner? And have we had problems with that in the past?
I think this has been the original owner for the last several years. They got permission and granted the rights to put the mechanical shop in and got a C of O for the mechanical side. And now they're looking for auto sales division. I believe in the last 3 years, it's still the same landowner, building owner, property owner. The client might be able to
Thank you.
confirm.
Thank you, Mr. Myers.
Any
I have-
other?
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
If they're,
Maureen?
yes, if they're having cars that are worked on in the bays and they're going to have cars that they're selling, where are the cars they're selling going to be at night?
On the sidewalk.
Not on the sidewalk.
The ones they're selling, I do believe they can keep them outside. I'm not sure on that. Because
Is
you can buy
the-
many
Just
cars.
how much congestion is going to be here if we have vehicles in the bays overnight that are being worked on, and we've got cars that are for sale in the parking spaces? Where's everybody going to go
Right.
if that's the case?
The owner? If the owner's here, he can answer the question.
Well, again, this is Roger. Again,
Okay.
Liz, the diagram shows where the displays are of the cars to be sold, the available spaces where they can be sold, and also the parking for anybody who's going to be there to drop by to see the cars. And by the way, a lot of these cars are sold online.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Does that answer everybody's questions?
Mr. Chairman, this is John Myers.
John, go ahead.
I want to respond a little more clarified to Mr. Palmer's request. The property was purchased and bought by an LLC holding in 2015 and presently has the same property holder of this proposal. So they've
Okay.
owned it
Thank
since
you.
2015. And the response, as I understand it from the last commissioner, is the far east side bay would be potential indoor storage for some of the cars to be sold. In the west half of the building is the mechanical bay shop.
Okay,
There is a wall that divides that at this present moment in that building. You do not see it in the drawings, but it is there.
okay. Any other questions? Any other questions? Last call for questions. Okay, then I guess we will entertain a motion on this.
Is this a motion to accept the recommendation?
Yep. Be the motion that Liz has on her paperwork. Whoever makes it, please read that motion. Hello?
We're reading.
Okay,
Approval conditional on single-
Anybody want to make read the motion and then second it, and then you can discuss it.
Do we have someone that's making a motion?
not as of yet. You want to make the motion, Tracy?
No.
Okay. Does anybody want to make a motion?
Yeah, we're not.
With no one wanting to make a motion, it will die for lack of a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve PI
Okay.
20-003.
Okay, Mike's made the motion to approve. Anybody want to support that motion? I will support the motion. So we have a motion and a support. Any questions or discussions on the motion? Mike, call the roll.
Almer,
No.
Kissel,
Yes.
let's see, Grazak. And Briones are not here. I'm gonna vote yes. Persinger
No.
and Loduca.
No,
Oh, and then Dupre.
No.
Okay,
The motion has been defeated. Site plan has not been approved. Liz, where do we stand here?
I believe someone needs to make a motion to, I guess, deny the site plan.
Can't make a negative motion.
Oh,
Robert rules of orders. And it's, the site plan has been denied
okay, okay,
by that motion. By
great,
the negative motion, by the motion being defeated.
okay,
motion was
my apologies.
No
Okay.
problem.
next agenda.
Next item on the agenda.
Would the
Is it
public hearing
The
have
public,
any,
I'm sorry?
would the public hearing would be next on the agenda?
Yes, that is next.
Okay. We will open up the public hearing for 8 881 Southfield at 7:30. We'll close our regular meeting and open up at 7:30, open up the special meeting, the public hearing for 881 Southfield at 8:31. Does anybody have any comments in the public? Anybody in the public have any comments? Going once? Going twice? Gone. We'll close the public hearing at 7:32 and reopen our regular meeting. There was no discussion on the public hearing. We'll go on to special land use. Now, Liz, do we do anything with special land use since the site plan review has been denied?
I believe it's still on an agenda item, so you should go through and vote on it.
Okay, go ahead with the public hearing. The special land use.
Okay, so the petition is the same as for the site plan. As far as criteria go, the special use will promote, and this is for auto sales on the site. The special use will promote the use of land in a socially and economically desirable manner. Condition is met. It is compatible and in accordance with the goals and objectives and policies of the city's comprehensive development plan. The future land use classification is general commercial. This is met. Necessary for the public convenience at that location is met. The special use is compatible with adjacent uses of land and can be constructed, operated, and maintained so as to be compatible with the existing or intended character of the general vicinity. The proposal will improve the landscaping and screening on the site. It is compatible with adjacent commercial uses. Condition is met. It is so designed, located, and proposed to be operated that the public health, safety, and welfare will be protected. The proposal will improve landscaping, screening, and access on the site. Can adequately be served by public services and facilities. This condition is met. Will not cause injury to the value of other property in the neighborhood. This is met. Will protect the natural environment and help conserve natural resources and energy. The proposal does nothing to protect the natural environment. However, it does provide more landscaping, so it's partially met. It is within the provisions of requiring special use approval. There are no specific standards for auto sales, so this is met. And special use is related to the valid exercise of the city's police power, and this is met. There is a proposed motion, but it's up to the planning commission to propose a new motion if you so desire and vote.
Okay. Do we have any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Does anybody want to make a motion for a special land use approval? If not, it'll die for lack of a motion, and we'll move on to new business. Under new business, the first item is site plan review. 1516 Southfield, offices and studio. Go ahead, Liz.
Let me just get to the page. Okay. Okay, so this, the proposed project is an office and photography studio. The interior workspace will have an open concept layout that will be used for photographing items for the applicant's online boutique. So the site is about 1,600 square feet in an existing building that fronts Southfield Road and has vehicular access via Hanover Street in the back. The closest intersection is to the east at Lafayette. And there is an existing 6-foot sidewalk both on Southfield and Hanover. And there's also a bus stop right in front of the building. The site was previously used as a dental office and is now vacant. And there are existing perennial plantings in front of the building and has 2 parking spaces in the rear. The master plan future land use classification is general commercial, and the proposed use is consistent with that designation. Land use and zoning, the site is zoned municipal business district, and both an office and a photography studio are principally permitted in the district. Site plan documents are listed below. For dimensional standards, the site does not meet the standards for lot width, lot area, and lot coverage in the district, but it's an existing site, so there are no items to be addressed. For building design, it does not quite meet the building material standards in the rear. It does for the front. And the facade or the transparency is close at 18% instead of the 25%, but not quite. So it does not quite meet the building material requirements for the rear facade and the transparency requirements in the front. But aside from touching up the existing paint and replacing the awning, the proposal does not include any changes to the existing facades. Therefore, the city has historically permitted existing facade conditions to remain. So there's nothing to be addressed for building materials and design. There are no significant natural features to preserve. For sidewalks, pedestrian, and bicycle circulation, the site has sidewalks on both sides of the building. And per the engineering comments, the sidewalk in the front is in good condition. And in the back, there's one concrete flag in the back that should be replaced. There is a small photo here that shows which concrete flag he's talking about. So that is the one thing to be addressed for sidewalks. For parking, for an office use, the number of spaces required would be 5. There are 2 existing parking spaces in the back, so it does not quite meet the standards. However, the applicant for the proposed use, the applicant and occasionally an employee will be the only people on site. The site is not open to the public. Therefore, the 2 existing parking spaces should adequately serve the parking needs for the use. And given the extreme limited ability of the site to accommodate parking, it is the Planning Commission's responsibility to determine whether the proposed parking plan offers an adequate provision for the intended use while preserving the public health, safety, and welfare. For parking area type B, all of the conditions are met or met as possible. There were only a few things to be addressed per engineering comments, and that is that the adjacent property owner has a dumpster that is partially on the property. You can see in this photo, and that just needs to be moved. So items to be addressed for parking, a planning commission waiver is requested to reduce the number of parking spaces from 5 to 2. Considerations include the size of the existing site and then the nature of the proposed use. On the actual plan, the 2 parking spaces aren't shown, so those just need to be shown on the plan, and then to have that adjacent dumpster moved. For barrier-free access, there are no spaces, but as noted above, the applicant and the employee will be the only 2 people on site, and the site is not open to the public. The lot is only 20 feet wide, making the provision of a barrier-free space impossible with the dimension requirements for barrier-free parking spaces, so nothing to be addressed here. For loading, the size of the building does not require any loading space, so nothing to be addressed. For access driveways and vehicular circulation, these standards apply to the major traffic routes in the city, and there's no vehicular access on any of these routes. The vehicular access is from Hanover Street behind the building, so the standards of this section do not apply. Emergency vehicle access, they may access the building either via Southfield or Hanover, and the site plan notes that the south side of Hanover will be designated a fire lane with no parking allowed. And the police department has indicated no concerns with the proposal. There are no new streets proposed. For landscaping, screening, and open space, the applicant is proposing some new landscaping. So all the standards are meeting the 30% redevelopment standard. So nothing to be addressed here. Soil erosion control is under the jurisdiction of Wayne County. For utilities, all of the standard engineering comments for utilities are listed here. Stormwater management is under the jurisdiction of Wayne County. For lighting, there's an existing light on the rear facade of the building and no new lighting is proposed. Noise, there's no indication of adverse noise impacts. There's no roof or ground mounted mechanical equipment. There are no proposed signs, and there's no indication of hazardous substances or polluting materials, and there are no site design standards for uses permitted after special approval because this is a permitted use in the district. And other agency reviews, just secure all appropriate agency reviews as needed, and there are no variances. So in summary, the information with the proposal is substantially in compliance with the section in the ordinance site plan review. There is one waiver requested for the number of parking spaces from 5 to 2. And the consideration for that is this very small size of the existing site and the nature of the proposed use. Then there is just one condition to be addressed before planning approval is issued, just showing the 2 parking spaces on the plan, and then the standard conditions of approval. So that is all I have for the report. I can answer any questions, and the applicant and the design professional are both on the call.
We have any questions for Liz?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
the 2 employees
Yes.
with the 2 parking spots, they don't have anything on their mind to maybe open to other people in photography and patrons at all?
It is my understanding that no, but the applicant would be able to expand upon that.
Okay, and one question before the applicant, there's not room for another parking space, basically, is what you said, right?
Correct. The lot is 20 feet wide, and a parking spot is typically 9 or 10 feet wide. So
Yeah, I'm familiar with the little building, so, okay, that's my question.
Any other questions for Liz? Hearing none, is the applicant here?
I am. Hi.
Good. Who are you? And tell us a little bit about your business.
Hi there. I'm Sheree Sablo. In the future, I do all the photography myself. So the 2 employees include me, myself, the owner. And I have one very part-time employee, and that's just when we kind of get overwhelmed during the holiday season. So I would say 90% of the time it's going to be one vehicle in the back. And then when I call in my other employee, she does mostly remote work. So when she comes in, it's not for long. And we both drive compact cars. So we've been up there, so we're able to fit now. We don't have any future plans to hire any new employees. And that's about it.
Any questions for the commissioner?
I have one
do,
question.
Mr. Chairman.
Who?
Maureen,
Go ahead, Maureen.
I noticed that there's no waste disposal here. Is this going to be a city pickup? Or do they need a commercial garbage disposal?
The applicant has rollout bins for her trash management plan.
GFL will be picking it up then.
Correct.
Okay, that's the only question I had. Thank you.
Okay.
I have a
Any-
couple questions, Mr. Chairman.
Please speak up. I can barely hear you.
I have a couple questions, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Joe.
To the owner, is this a rental property or are you purchasing the building?
I am purchasing the building. I already have the paperwork filed for that.
And then what are your plans in the building? You're gonna be taking photography in the building itself?
Correct.
And you're not gonna have any room for other clients to park? Where will they park at?
We currently do only online, so everything is virtual. Anything anybody needs from me, they will video call me as we're doing now. So we don't actually meet in person. Everything is virtual, and then I ship the item to them.
And I'm kind of lost. Is it a photography studio?
I take photos of items that people are purchasing. So everything is e-commerce related.
But they're not of people or pets or anything like that. They're just items they're selling online.
Like clothing, I do clothing items. So I'll take the photos on a mannequin, and then you do kind of a showcase of the item. And then they'll ask for special certain types of photos or mending, anything, if it needs to be taken in or altered, I do all of that on site.
And I guess another question is this new to you, or have you been doing this out of your home or garage or basement?
This is my 4th year. We were doing it out of our home for the first year and a half. We had a small space we leased for about a little over a year after that, but the lease was up and they were selling the building. So I purchased this building in hopes of moving it all into one spot, because we were doing photography in one place and we were doing the orders in a separate building. And I'd like to be able to combine that all into one, so my offices can be where my studio is.
Thank you. No further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any other questions for the applicant? Any further questions for the applicant? Okay. I see that Liz has a proposed motion. It's too small for me to read it, but if somebody wants to read it, make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Yes.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second.
Yeah, you got two people. You got Tracy and you also
One
got,
made a motion. Who made the motion?
Russ. Leduca.
Okay, Russ
Leduca made the motion.
I'll
Tracy is
support.
in support?
Yep.
Okay. We have a motion and a support to approve the motion, to approve. Any questions or discussion by the commissioners?
No.
Mike, call the roll.
Okay, Palmer,
Yes.
Kissel,
Yes.
Razak. And Briona's not here. Horvath, yes. Persinger,
yes,
Loduca,
Yeah.
and Dupre.
Yes.
Okay, unanimous.
Okay. Move on to B, conceptual review for 471 Southfield. It's an auto repair shop. And I believe this is just Liz giving the information to us.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is a conceptual review, so there is no action for the planning commission because it's a special land use. It first goes through conceptual review, and then it will come back for full site plan review, where the planning commission will vote on it. For this project, it is an auto repair facility. The site has been operating as an auto repair facility for quite some time with no history of planning approvals, and the city has been treating it as a non-conforming use. The applicant proposes to add a new overhead door, which will remove the site's non-conforming status. Therefore, the current request will bring the property into conformance with the zoning ordinance. So the site is located along Southfield Road, west of River Drive and east of Elliott Avenue. There's a party store to the east and a vacant lot to the west. The rear abuts a 16-foot public alley that is unimproved, and then there is a 6-foot sidewalk on Southfield and an existing parking lot on site. Master plan future land use classification is general commercial, which is the proposed auto repair facility is consistent with that designation. The site is zoned municipal business district, and an auto repair facility is permitted after special approval in that district. Site plan documents are listed here. Site plan documents as submitted are not sufficient for site plan review. When it comes to that, the plan must have a proper scale with legible text and dimensions, and the elevations must also have a scale and be done by a licensed design professional. So an item to be addressed there is to provide properly scaled plans and elevations with legible text and dimensions. for dimensional standards, the lot meets all the dimensional standards for the district, so there's nothing to be addressed there. Building design, the building is existing. We couldn't, since there were no elevations provided that were to scale for the site plan, so nothing to be actually reviewed, but that is an item to be addressed to provide elevations for review. There are no significant natural features to preserve, so nothing to be addressed there. Sidewalks, pedestrian and bicycle circulation. The site has a 6-foot concrete sidewalk along Southfield, and it appears to have some cracks. And so the standard item to be addressed is to bring up the sidewalks to city standards. For parking, an automotive service station would require, it's based on employee and owner information and service bay. So employee and manager owner information is not provided, so it can't quite determine what the required number would be. There are 6 parking spaces shown on the plan, but there appear to be more on the existing parking lot. The existing parking lot, just looking from Google Maps, appears to have 15 to 20 spaces, with the 6 spaces shown on the plan. So the proposed parking spaces must meet the dimension requirements of the ordinance and be shown and scaled properly on the plan. The parking area, the ingress and egress on Southfield appears to be in poor condition, and so does the parking lot. It need concrete curb and gutter details, and the masonry wall between the property and the residential properties to the rear it has not been shown on the plan. There's a list of items to be addressed here that I've gone through. I won't reread them, but they are listed for the applicant. Area-free access, there's one provided on the plan, but no dimension. Just adding those. For loading, the applicant needs to provide the required loading space. For access driveways and vehicular circulation, this is an existing site with existing driveways that do not meet the standards. There are 2 driveways, there's a single way and a 2-way driveway on Southfield, and they do not meet the width requirements in the ordinance. And some of these standards are not applicable, and they're closer than what the ordinance allows. So the existing driveways do not meet the standards for width, radius, or number, but because the project is redeveloping an existing site, the Planning Commission has authority to apply the standards to the maximum extent possible if it determines that compliance with all the standards of this section is unreasonable. For emergency vehicle access, they can access the building via Southfield Road, and the police department has reviewed the plan and indicates no outstanding issues. No new streets have been proposed. For landscaping, street screening, and open space, no landscaping plan was provided, so just more information is needed for the full site plan review. Because this is a redevelopment of an existing site, they only need to meet 30% of the landscaping standards. So just a landscaping plan is required for that full site plan review. Soil erosion control is under the jurisdiction of Wayne County. Utilities are the standard items to be addressed from the engineer. For stormwater management, it's under the jurisdiction of Wayne County. Lighting, no lighting details have been provided. So it will need a lighting plan. Manufacturers.
Whoever has the dog, please mute your phone.
It's my dog. Just a minute.
I'm sorry, but
Oh.
Okay.
Please mute your
Poochie
dog.
outside.
You can
What's up
leave
with
your
your
dog
Poochie,
out,
Liz?
Liz.
make that dog happy and continue.
Yeah,
Hey,
he's
Some a cookie or
very
something.
difficult today.
You need some milk bone or something.
Yeah. The Mechanical equipment, there is existing rooftop mechanical equipment that is not screened. If that should ever be replaced, it would just need to be screened in accordance with ordinance requirements. Signs would come into review during the building permit review. Hazardous materials or waste, it's expected to generate some quantity of hazardous materials or waste that need documentation for compliance with state and federal standards.
I used oil.
For site design standards for uses permitted after special approval. A lot of these standards are not met, but it's just needing details. They are listed below for the applicant. The existing site does not meet the standards for lot area, frontage, setbacks, and number of driveways. But because this is an existing site, the city has historically permitted these conditions to remain. So the big items here that aren't related to the site are providing curb and gutter details, providing the 6-foot solid masonry wall at the rear of the property, replacing broken and cracked asphalt, and providing details on the curb and vehicle barriers in the parking lot. Other agency reviews, it's work in Southfield right of way, requires Wayne County Road Commission permission, and the applicant shall secure appropriate agency reviews as needed. Finally, there are no variances anticipated from this proposal. Recommendations, there is a substantial amount of information still needed in order for this proposal to be in compliance with site plan review. Again, this is just a conceptual review. But the site plan documents as submitted would not be sufficient for site plan review, which is the next step. So there is a list of the conditions and waivers for the applicant in working on that final site plan review. And that is all I have for the report.
Okay.
I do believe that the applicant is on, so he can answer questions. As well.
Do we have any questions for Liz?
Yeah, I got a question for Liz.
Go ahead,
Why don't you feed that dog enough? He's whining.
Chuck. Okay, do we have any other questions for Liz? Is go ahead.
Chairman, if I may.
Go ahead.
How do they propose to fix the driveway situation? Do we know? I'm just curious because I see that neither one of them.
Sure, since they're existing, they've typically been allowed to remain. I believe that the engineer typically requires replacing pavement and concrete. The approaches are cracked. But if the applicant has plans for fixing or changing the driveways, those details would be in the final site plan review submission.
Okay, thanks.
Liz, I have a question.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Is Wayne County gonna make them work on the row or no? So
Mr.
they're allowed
Chairman,
to go side.
That's a good question. I do not know the answer to that.
I do.
Go ahead,
Mr.
John.
Myers,
To answer Mr. Fraser, and then Joe, your question is, the design architect or engineer will have to propose how they're going to lay out the driveways, because they do have one existing garage door on the front of the property. And then they would like to put possibly one more in the parking lot side of the property. So they'll have to come to a resolution with the planning commission and how the driveways will be displayed. And then they'll have to go to the city they'll have to go to the county for permits to replace any sidewalks or any driveway approaches that will be on the Southfield side. So they'll have to get our approval in the design, and then they'll have to get it supported and permitted through Wayne County Road.
excellent. Thank you, John.
Okay. Any other questions for Liz? Okay, is the applicant here?
I'm representing the owner. I'm the engineer for the plans that were submitted.
And your name
Yogi,
is? What's your name?
Yogi Anand.
Joe B. Hanan, okay? Do you want to present anything?
Yes, I've been working with Liz. Liz had been helpful in advising what needed to be submitted, but I understand from Liz's description that we need to resubmit the documents. And I also understand about the access from Southfield to the building. And we will propose what need to be done in accordance with the building department's requirements and whatever the Wayne County would require us to do.
Okay. Are there any questions for the applicant? Any questions for the applicant? Okay, we look forward to seeing you back here, hopefully next month with the completed information that Liz needs. So work with Liz and John, and we'll see you soon, we hope.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to C. Liz, this is the one that Liz wanted to add to it. It's a removal of a member. Go ahead, Liz.
John, feel free to jump in.
I'll jump in.
Okay.
Commissioners, let me interrupt for just a moment on behalf of Liz. We've discussed this sometime in the past. Protocol would be your recommendation for us to submit this letter and then go to council for a final approval. If you cannot see the letter, it really starts with our bylaws, and let me read the first paragraph or so you can hear what it says if you cannot read it. It says the purpose of this letter is to provide notification of your removal from the City of Lincoln Park Planning Commission according to Article 2, number 16 of the City of Lincoln Park Planning Commission bylaws. If any member of the commission is absent from 3 consecutive regular scheduled meetings without notifying the building superintendent prior, then that member shall be considered delinquent. Delinquency shall be grounds for the city council to remove the member from the commission for non-performance of duty or misconduct after holding a public hearing on the matter. So it gives you the guidelines of what we have to do. But before we can get to council, we need your recommendation that there are at least 2 people that we haven't seen on the field. One by registry is a Miss Hill. In my time here, I have not met that person once, so I don't even know who that person is. And the other is Shurio, and we haven't seen him on site of our hearing in over 2 years. So my recommendation and request to this commission is to grant the staff the right to submit removal request to council on these behalf. There is a third person that we have sent a letter to, and before I make that recommendation, I'd be willing to talk to him personally, and that is Jerry. I knew over the pandemic, there were some medical issues, and he was asking for absentee because of some medical issues. We haven't seen him in over a year ourselves, and so I'd love to have a personal conversation out of respect of all the years that he has provided repetitive, consistent services, and ask him how his health is doing and how he feels about being involved going forward to finish his term. And on that response that I hear from him, he would be possibly the third person. The reason for the request is so that there isn't an official person on the commission. So we get to the very bottom paragraph, and it says, if based on the non-variance, we will initiate a process for your removal from the commission. We will take the intent of your removal as an agenda item on the next planning commission meeting, and the commission will vote on the recommendation of the city council. If 2/3 of the majority of the council votes in favor for your removal, the petition will go to city council, who will hold a public hearing to determine the final outcome. Our intent is so that if you believe your removal from the commission is in error, please do not hesitate to contact me. We've changed this from making it Liz to me. We appreciate your service for the planning commission and your understanding in allowing a new member the opportunity to serve the city of Lincoln Park. We will send you a written notice if at any time the city council votes to approve your removal from the commission. The intent is to make space for an active member to be available. We believe, Liz and I, as your staff, that this is an impeccable responsibility moving forward in the development of the zoning and the development of businesses and residential issues for the city of Lincoln Park. And the fuller, more active our staff, our commissioners are, I think the better we'll get results in sounding. So this would be the letter we would submit, at least to 2. I would wait until I talk personally to Jerry and see how he's doing and what he feels his timelines might look like. And I'd be willing to grant him, out of the years of successful continued response, to give him time to join us again.
Okay. I think it's very well written. I think it's very well done. Personally, I think it's time we took action against the 2. And I agree with your understanding of Jerry and wanted to talk to him personally. Any questions for John from the commissioners?
Hello, John.
Yes, sir.
Good, Mike.
Yeah.
Or Joe?
Just put yourself on mute, hon, Mike.
Okay, back off. I'm just making a note on the 2 people that are being proposed for removal to go to the city council on my notes, right? What was the one was Liz Hill?
No, Mrs. Hill. I don't even know the first name. I'll get that name for you.
Mrs. Hill? And the other was Arturo Briones, correct?
That is correct.
So are we going to do a vote on this to propose that they be submitted for the council?
That would be Liz and my request, so that we follow bylaw protocol, so that we could address the letter and then submit a request to the council as a resolution.
So should I roll call?
Well, right now, there's no motion yet. We're
Okay.
asking if there's any discussion, we'll have a motion.
And just to butt in, the bylaws state that the letter needs to go out first, and then the planning commission will vote on it, and then it goes to council.
Okay.
So the vote will actually be at the September meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
So no
Okay.
The letter
motion till
goes
next
out
week.
first. All right.
Okay.
Okay, that's,
Well written, and it should, I don't know if it'll be well received, but it is well written, so yes.
Okay,
Any other recommendations by the commission on behalf of Liz and I in pursuing these removals?
I
have a
think you've done a
question.
great job. Who's
Yeah.
that?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman, just Joe Palmer.
Go ahead, speak up.
The question I have is, if this letter goes out to these 2 individuals, since the woman has not, I've been on this since 2006, never heard of her, and Mr. Briones has not been here for 2 or 3 years. What's to say that they decide, oh, hey, wait a minute, I'm still on this, the planning commission, that they want to come back in? Do we accept them, or can we say no? How do we proceed with that?
The bylaws allow us to make official response and dialogue to them. And then in September, because we fully gave them a full awareness of what we are proceeding to do, if they choose to return, we still have the right to vote a no, because we
Okay.
have actually notified them of our action plan. And then they have, if they deny or just don't respond at all, we still have a vote. If they decide to return, we have not failed to communicate to everybody that we have information on, that we're having commissions, and we send them the documentation. So if they choose to come back, then you guys will have a personal dialogue, and still we will put it on the table for a vote of whether we take them to council for a resolution to be dismissed.
Thank you, Mr. Myers, for the clarification. I appreciate that.
Is that clear as you understand it, Liz?
Yes.
And I guess just to throw one in thing, and I know Kevin will back me, please tell Jerry that we're praying for him and hope everything works out for him.
I will.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I agree with that.
amen.
Any other questions for John or Liz on this? Okay, go ahead and proceed, John, and make that an agenda item for next month. Liz,
Will do.
Thanks.
we'll move on to policy review and discussion. Anything under that? How about educate? Go ahead. How about education and training?
Can that be under Liz?
Okay, so the August monthly planning report. Let's see, the top story is in Traverse City, a dam removal faces a lawsuit for and a safety downgrade. Doesn't really apply to Lincoln Park. Ferndale makes a pitch for national infrastructure investment. This could be relevant,
Yeah.
might be worth looking into. Quote from it is, as the administration attempts to negotiate with various combinations of bipartisan senators to get a bill passed with a prominent alternative proposal coming to far less than half Biden's initial pitch, this small story about the dangers of Woodward Avenue shows what is at stake.
Ooh,
Um, And the link to that article is at the bottom here. Funding, 22 local grade crossing service program call for projects. Local governments and railroads are invited to partner on request to the Michigan Department of Transportation Office of Rail for improvements to railroad crossing surfaces. Selected projects will be funded by MDOT, 60% and the railroad agency 40%, with no cost to the local agency. So that applications are due September 30th. Could be useful. And then training, a lot of trainings this fall. Michigan Municipal League Convention, September 22nd through 24th in Grand Rapids. MDOT virtual advanced training wheels. This is one that's offered, I think, yearly. It's pretty popular about planning and design of on-road bicycle facilities, September 14th and September 16th. So that one's via Zoom, could do it from home. Planning and zoning for electric vehicles, also on September 16th, and conducting land division reviews. Probably not applicable for Lincoln Park. That's all for August.
Okie dokie. We have any reports from departments and other boards and commissioners?
Really nothing from the Dangerous Building and Board of Appeals. We're actually humping butt there with moving forward with what we've got going on. We've got a lot going on. Mr. Myers and the building department have been very diligent with our moving forward. I know we have a couple coming up, but nothing major right now.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything under public comments?
We're glitching out.
What's that, Chuck?
Mr. Chairman, if I can interrupt for a moment.
Go ahead, John.
I just want to support Joe's issues. We have a dangerous building board that will be appearing on the 26th of this month.
I'm about to lose him.
We do have an important documentation coming. This will be the first time in the history of the city of Lincoln Park, as far as I can tell, looking back through the history books, that we have an appeal of our interpretation of our city ordinance and state codes. And so we'll be addressing that as a protocol for the first time. And also on the 19th of this month, we have several cases in the ZBA board. And I know there's a couple council members that will be involved in that as well. One unique thing on this case coming in is it will be a redo off of an appeal at the Circuit Court of Appeals. So as far as I know in history, this will be the first time that an action of the ZBA was taken to the Circuit Court of Appeals and was referred back to the ZBA for a review of protocol. So those are two landmark events that will be taking place this month in the building department and the planning and engineering division of your staff. We'll see how those things work out and how well we manage our performance. One of the things in the education, if my schedule works out, I will be attending the MML conference on behalf of the city. And number two, if it would be acceptable to the chair and the commission, a month ago we were talking about a new topic that Liz and myself are a member of the development team. And one of the conversations about zoning is an e-commerce development. And obviously before it goes very far, it'll go through the planning commission. And so my recommendation, if it would be acceptable, is Liz and I create for you between planning commissions a packet of information for study, for reviewing, so you have full knowledge of the terminologies of what we're talking about, so that you might have a better opportunity to either do your own investigating, information gathering, knowledge on the topic that's happening across the state in other cities, but we could help you by giving you education ahead of time so that we would be maybe more informed as we make plans for possible e-commerce in the city of Lincoln Park moving forward.
It sounds good.
So if those three things are acceptable, then Liz and I will work towards those goals to help you be prepared for those topics.
Sounds good to me. I approve of it. Anybody else have anything to say on it?
No.
So go ahead.
Thank you.
What do we have? Public comments? We have anything on the public comments? Comments from planning commissioners.
I'm raising my hand.
Go ahead.
So, Mr. Meyer, since we seem to have had a problem with the emails and my scanning of my paperwork, I'm going to scan a copy to save a backup. I'm going to put this in an envelope and drop it in the Dropbox tonight.
We're kind and faithful gentlemen.
And then the other thing is belated happy birthday. And that's
Thank
it.
you very much.
Good
Happy
job, Mike.
birthday.
Anybody else from the planning commissioners have
Yeah.
anything to say?
I do, Mr. Commissioner.
Go ahead, Joe.
Through our whole commission, I have a concern, and I don't know if you all do, but it looks like this is going to be the future of us being on Zoom. And one of my concerns is that how do we know this is the applicant that's on there? If we just see a name, I can type any name in when I come on. How are we positive that's the person that we're talking to? Is there a way that we can mandatorily tell them that they need to have a video camera at least so we can see who that person is? I just have a gut feeling that we're going to have an issue coming up in the future because I've heard a couple things with other communities having issues like that. Does anybody else have concerns like I do about this?
Yes, I do. But thing is, same thing, we're meeting in person. How do you know that person's really the person they're saying they are?
No, I agree, Mr. Chairman, but my point is that if you've got a person that just shows a phone number and there's no face, at least we see the face.
Right.
Same with in person.
I do.
Mr. Myers or Liz, is there anything we can do about this?
I don't know if we could require them to show videos, but one thing I could do is I can change the names. So like instead of just showing a video, I could change the name to be whoever. Joe, if I know that's the applicant.
I'm sorry to interrupt,
but I
but
mean,
Liz,
how do
you
we
deal
know
with
that
some of
that's
these.
really that person? That's what I'm concerned about.
I mean,
Because it
like
could
the
be
ones,
somebody else coming in.
true. The ones tonight, I mean, I've talked to all of them a lot, so I recognize the voices, but yeah, I definitely see your concern.
But it might be advisable when they submit an application to get a copy of their ID.
Oh, we do get that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I thought you probably did, but that would be one way of verifying them, especially if they're on camera.
That's
You
true.
know that that's and also you have their phone number, so you can always verify with their phone number.
Well, I guess what I'm getting at is if they're signing in with their phone, everybody's got an updated smartphone and you download Zoom on it, you have a camera on your phone, that person should be able to be seen from their phone and or their computer or laptop. And my concern is going forward, because we have a lot of serious stuff coming up. What if somebody else comes in and doesn't want, it could be a neighbor or somebody that doesn't want that person to have that business and they don't show, and it could be contradictory. I'm a little concerned about that. I just wondered how we can go forward. Can we state when that applicant comes on that they have to have a video to show themselves? Can we say something like that? I mean, it's not a legal and not illegal thing, but say you must be able to have a video camera so we can see you or something, in other words.
I will, between Liz and myself, Joe, and Mr. Chairman, I will speak with the legal department and see if there's any legal requirements that we are restricted from or not. And if he gives us the freedom to do it with the Freedom Act of Human Rights, then we'll go ahead and request that part of our Zoom. Because I do believe we will be in virtual meetings for the next several months to come.
Agreed. That's what my concern is. Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
And thank you, my fellow planning commissioners. Happy
Good
birthday,
point,
John.
Joe.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything to say?
Yes, happy birthday, John.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, John.
Was that Jake?
What you did, Joe.
I think
Okay.
we can sing to you, but it wouldn't sound so good on Zoom.
Anybody else have any comments? Then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn.
To
We have a
pray?
motion- We have a motion
I'll
by
second.
Tracy.
I did have
Was-
something to say.
Who's second?
What?
Whoa, hello.
I did. Joe Palmer.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
Chuck, I hear you.
Nobody can hear me.
I hear
You're
you.
muted.
Okay, I am muted.
Yeah.
I,
Well,
I'm not muted.
I thought who was talking was
Okay.
muted.
No,
Never
me.
mind.
Hello.
Chuckles.
Yeah,
What do you want,
me.
Chuck?
Oh, Chuck, you
I had something to say, and it was like all of a sudden, you guys just like, whoa.
Oh, you
Was I
didn't
muted?
respond.
I thought I did. I was
What do you
screaming at
want
my
to say,
end.
Chuck?
Come on, speak
I
up.
wanted
We
say-
want to go.
Okay, simply, I wanted to see everybody there at Lincoln Park Days and come and have a good time. Come by the beer tent and say hello to all of us. And that's what I wanted to say.
Okay. I will
Even
see
you,
at the
John,
beer-
even you.
I will see you at the beer tent. in Lincoln
You'll
Park.
probably be pouring.
Probably will be.
I'm bringing my high state cup.
The mayor hasn't contacted.
You can bring
me
any
yet,
cup
so
you want. You can bring any cup you want. Just show up and have fun.
Doesn't mean we're gonna fill it though, John.
we're selling.
We don't fill up any, we don't
We're
fill up
selling
any
what?
Ohio State stuff.
We're asking people to sponsor a keg. So
Oh,
if
yeah.
you're interested, you can sponsor a keg and you'll get a nice little sign up with your name on it that you sponsored a keg at Lincoln Park Days. So you can contact me or Chuck or anybody if you're interested in sponsoring a keg for the prevention of child abuse.
It's a
Do you get
$100
unlimited
donation.
drinks out of that keg?
What?
Well,
Do you get unlimited drinks out of the keg you sponsor?
tell you what, Joe, you sponsor a keg and you come see me and I'll buy you beer. As many as you
All right,
want.
brother. How much
Okay.
is the sponsorship?
It's $100.
It's a $100
Okay.
sponsorship.
And the beer of your choice?
Well, we only got so many beers.
I think we have Miller Lite. and Bud Light.
No, we have Budweiser and Bud Light. Miller
Yeah,
Light's a
Ohio
different
Brewery.
company. Yeah,
Okay.
and then something else too, and then there's
Yeah,
gonna be
Black
your
Cherry
wine, yeah, your wine
coolers or whatever. Mike's Hard Black Cherry and,
No, not Mike's. That would be the other company that had Miller.
oh,
Yeah,
that's right. Okay.
Yeah, we
Well,
got
we got Black
Seagram's.
Cherry and we got some kind of seltzer or something.
Yeah,
So,
probably Bud Light Seltzer or something like that, but there's gonna be some great bands this weekend. Come see 15 Amp Fuse. Come see Ozzy on Saturday. That's gonna be crowded on Saturday though, guys.
It'll be good.
It'll be wonderful though. Everybody's gonna have a great time. Come on down, have a beer, say hello. That's all I had to say, guys. Thanks.
Okay.
I have a motion to dismiss. I mean, sure.
Well, we already had a motion to adjourn, so.
Okay, all right,
so
let's
we'll
go for a vote.
act on the
then. All right.
motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
No.
Meeting is officially closed. We'll see you. in Lincoln Park
8:26.
Day.
Good
All
night,
right, guys.
everyone.
Talk to you.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Have a good day.